Yeah. Welcome back, Mere Mortalites out there. This is the Mere Mortals podcast.
Mere Mortals 2.0.
We've got Juan over here, Kyrin
here
on the other corner. And we've got Meanderings today for you, folks. This is a chance for us to talk wildly about anything that comes to our mind. Wildly.
Well, wild ones.
Whatever thoughts, whatever precarious ideas we think we might want to share with the world. Maybe even some that are yet too recent come to the mind and we think it's scary to showcase. We're going to talk about it here. Maybe something that might spook you, Mere Mortalites, we'll see. Today I'm going to be talking about getting hammered by the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Hammered by the vaccine. And something that's got us maybe questioning or being concerned about in today's podcast.
Okay. I wanted to talk today about... We've got a lot of boostagrams to go through, my friend.
Okay, all right.
A lot of boostagrams. So there's some... Honestly, that'll probably take a large part of mine, but also, if we have time, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And just how disturbing it really is when you get down to it.
Okay. Let's do 2 boostagrams right now. Just to shout them out right now.
As a taster?
As a taster. And then we'll get into the rest of the meanders.
Well,
I do want to give back, of course, to the people who are supporting us in the Mere Mortals 2.0.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk about this in the future, how we really want to run it. But yes, 2 at the moment. So first one. Now, we got a lot because I interviewed Dave Jones. Had a chat with Dave Jones. Dave is a mad lad, podcasting 2.0.
At the same time, shout out to all the people who shared it on Twitter as well. It went. I woke up 2 days ago or 1 day ago, and there was like so many messages on Twitter, and I was like, what's going on? Everyone was sharing it. I was like, damn, well done, thank you.
Okay, I totally missed all that. We'll do the 2 big ones, the big ball of boosters that we got in the club. So, number 1, Dave Jones, he's too kind. He's sent us a message saying, love being on the show, 21,154 sats sent using Customatic. Dave Jones, you're a legend. He's sent us a big boost before, so it really is appreciated.
Thank you, Dave.
Other one, another listener, Chad F. You know, it's the Chad F. Love the episode with Dave Jones. Not 1, not 2, but 3 party streamers emojis.
Very nice.
10,000 sats received using Podfriend. Thank you, my 2 friends.
Very cool.
Those were much appreciated.
Do you think it's worth sharing the sats with listeners?
Yes, because sometimes there's a particular reason they send that number. There's Adam Curry particularly talks about how there's a numerology behind it. I've started doing that with my sat boosting, and I want to see if anyone
What's the numerology? What is the numerology?
So, you can make lucky numbers, for example. So if you've got lucky 19111, people do that.
Right,
if it's episode 69, people are going to be sending boosts of 6969.
Gotcha.
There's things related to that.
So what's going to be our little boostagram target? Because you know how in the podcasting 2.0 world, those guys are like, if you send us X amount in boostagram, we're going to send you a shirt.
Oh, yeah. We, once again, we need to think a lot, hard about what we want to do.
What would you get the listeners? What would a Mere Mortalite enjoy, do you think?
I think
a shirt's not good enough. Okay,
jeez.
I almost think that... Yeah, look, I don't think a shirt would be good enough. I'm thinking something a little bit more new age.
So here's what Adam Curry does on his show, No Agenda.
Yeah.
They have a whole ranking system of people being called dukes and dames and, there's acknowledgements and that sort of thing.
Yes.
They also will send a signet ring with wax with a No Agenda, Knight of the Round Table, so you can send your own paper, if you're sending a letter, you can seal it with your own signet ring, which is customized to you, sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. I would probably want to say a customized thing, but let's chat about this later.
I'm thinking more digitally. So anyway, I wanted to drop that because I want to be more to listeners. If you've got an idea, what would be cool?
I agree, digital, because we're in Australia.
Yeah, sending shit shipping to across the world, it's going to be hard. But I'd love to be functional. I'd love to give away something. Look, is there a Mere Mortal out there that wants to talk to us for an hour, directly for an hour, and just have a quick conversation about whatever? Cool, you might become part of a group.
Honestly, I'd be doing that anyway.
I couldn't imagine some people. I couldn't imagine this myself, but there might be people out there, dude, who would be like, dude, that'd be pretty cool. Let's have a conversation about whatever.
That's the thing. If you start to office, if someone said to me now, hey, can we chat for an hour? I'd probably just say yes.
I've got that time. Exactly. But
when you start to offer it as a service thing, then people can realize, oh, you know what? I actually can ask for an hour of their time.
Exactly.
So that sort of thing.
Just being mindful, Mere Mortalites. We're still early days on this. It's to come. It's
100%.
Let's continue on. So getting hammered by the vaccine. So Kyrin down over here. Mr. Kyrin down.
How autistic are you?
Oh, dude, I've already reached the other end of the spectrum. Went all the way backwards and started again. So I'm feeling right now. So I've gotten my first shot. I'm going to call it out. So I have had my first Pfizer shot. This was
Oh, wait, you got
Wednesday
Pfizer?
last week.
I thought you
Pfizer. No, I got
AstraZeneca.
Pfizer. I got Pfizer.
Oh, there you go.
Last Wednesday. And Kyrin Down's going to have his first vaccine shot in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
From today.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Now, I heard from a couple of different sources, some individuals saying this vaccine does make you feel a little bit woozy. When you take it, they told me, hey, you got to, first of all, stay there for half an hour, which I'd never
I didn't know that.
before. Yeah. They were like, you cannot leave for half an hour. They need to monitor you, first of all.
Okay.
Bit strange, but whatever. And they say, look, you're going to feel fever. You're going to shake. You might not sleep well. You're going to drink lots of water. Okay. Maybe it's a little bit and above what you normally get, but fine. But truthfully...
You could start hearing voices in your head from the microchip. You know,
it's totally fine.
The magnetic...
If you feel your hands choking somebody else without you knowing it,
I think it's like
it's on you.
the magnetic powers that you can get. Like, they need to be sure that it's like, hey, this guy's not going to use his magnetic powers for evil. Like, you need to learn. You need to learn.
Yeah. So
Magneto.
One thing that I was finding was, I went a couple of days later, and I mentioned the story, but I'll say it briefly. I woke up in the morning, my usual time, 4:20 in the morning, and I was going, okay, got to go to the gym. There was some deadlifts on that day, and I thought, man, I'm feeling a bit jittery, feeling a bit like what's going on with my body. I feel energetic, perhaps is what I could say, and I almost didn't want to get a coffee, because normally what I do is I'll stop by, get a coffee, and then it's a half-hour drive all the way to the actual gym. And this particular time I went, oh man, I almost don't feel like getting this because I'm so jittery. And even I ended up getting it. I went to the gym, I had a train session, and I just thought, man, I think this is just feeling because I really wanted to get the workout in. But I felt horrible that whole day. And I went for a couple of drinks on that night with work people saying goodbye to the current job that I'm in. And I still felt terrible, dude. I was like, oh man.
Was it that night? I thought it was the one after.
No, it was that night that I felt like that, because in that morning I drove to go and do that workout.
Gotcha.
Now, I just felt terrible, man. I went, I really don't want to experience this in the second one. And some people are going, like, second one's really bad. Not everyone, but some. I want to ask you, have you ever experienced like a really bad reaction from a vaccine or something from a medical perspective that maybe you didn't think was going to happen, but you did?
Yeah, not vaccine-wise, no. I mean, I can't remember them. Most of the ones that happened when I was young, you know, the hepatitis A or B or whatever. Yep. I'm sure we still get smallpox or measles when we're kids and that sort of stuff. So, no from that stuff. The one that comes to mind was when I fasted for 3 days and then also drank a lot of alcohol on the second night.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, that boat ride, I then had a boat ride in choppy waters, and that fucked me up good.
Yeah.
So, but who could have expected that, you know?
Who could have expected that?
In terms of reactions of things, I think my dad is allergic to penicillin, so I don't believe I've ever had penicillin, and that's a genetic one, so I might potentially be allergic to penicillin. I got the yellow fever one when I was in Colombia. That was all good, but I mean, I don't know, man. They could have been injecting me with anything, and I would have no idea.
What it made me reminisce of a time when it wouldn't have been my very first teeth coming out, because obviously I was here in Australia, but there was like a tooth that fell out when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old, and I remember almost pulling it out. You know when it's wobbly, and you go to the mirror and I pulled it out, and I could see a little bit of blood. And obviously I know this today, that I'm very much a person, when I see my own blood or something to do with me, I get oh man, I'm super woozy. But at times all I remember is pulling it out and looking at it, standing in front of the mirror and going, oh man, this is weird. And then, next thing I remember, I'm on the ground with family above me, what is going on? And I'm like, whoa, what happened? They're like, oh, you head-butted the friggin' the sink and fell on the ground. I'm like, oh dude, damn. So
whoops.
They actually said with the first injection, they were like, oh, you might possibly pass out as well. And I was like, oh, this is pretty freaky, man. So anyways, I want to get your take in a couple of weeks when you have your first one, and I have my second one, and I might not be here, so we'll see what happens if I pass out and never return.
Yeah. What's the time gap between them?
So I got that one on about 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
3.5 weeks. So they recommend, I think, with the other ones, you got to go up to 12 weeks. With these ones, 3.5, 4 weeks. So
gotcha.
Should be pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I really hope that I don't, and I have a feeling I won't have bad reactions. Things that seem to affect other people more.
Most humans.
In particular giving blood and veins and big needles. I'm pretty fine with all of that. So I'm hoping that my body's just gonna be like,
Gonna take it.
take it, bitch.
Yeah, okay.
Get it.
My other question I actually had for you was, and this was thinking back to when we did that episode, that we took a little bit of a hand from Tim when he had a chat with Dave. It was more around, what's got you excited, blah, blah, blah. So, but the one I'm interested to hear from you is, what's one thing recently that has you concerned? Whether it's internal, like you yourself personally, or external, like something happened in the world.
I got one for you.
Oh, here we go.
Holy shit, man. So Pete from Aussie English, he's a real cool guy. I like just hearing him talk. And he appeared on another Brisbane podcast called The Pouch Podcast.
The Pouch.
And do you want to know what they talk about? Just have a guess.
The Pouch?
Yeah.
I'm going to say they talk about dicks and sperm or something like that.
Close. Politics.
What?
So they were talking about politics.
So shit.
And
okay.
I sort of understood why it could be enticing to really get into this, because they were, this guy was talking about how this politician was doing this dodgy thing and he investigated it more. It's like you're a personal investigator sort of thing. You get to dive into this, talk about these things. Now, me personally, my sort of general thing is politics and bureaucracy is trash. I don't want to waste any of my time doing it. Talking about it is like the least consequential thing in the world, particularly Australian politics, but US or whatever.
Yep.
But I have a feeling that I'm concerned that I will enjoy politics when I'm older.
Oh,
I just have this,
that is concerning.
It's just concerning. It's like, I'm pretty sure my dad would have been very similar to me when he was young. I don't remember him talking about politics much or getting into it, but now, he likes to talk about it. He likes to talk about how, he feels China's getting hard done by and that the US is actually the et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Your dad's pro-CCP?
Yeah, he definitely is. In certain respects. And I'm concerned that there's just going to be like me enjoying that shit when I'm old.
Oh.
And me now is going
concerning.
like,
oh dang, it's
fuck,
coming.
that seems so stupid. Like, why would you waste any portion of your time on what our Prime Minister is saying, doing, thinking, feeling, eating, etc., etc. So that
up until the point, up until the point you can influence something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the other thing might be is that once you get older, you actually feel like you have some influence because you know these people. You can, debate with them, rational arguments, and then therefore you are affecting something. So maybe that's the thing. I don't know. That just concerned me. I listened to a bit of the podcast and I was like, mostly just for Pete's sake, because I like Pete. And shout out to Pete. You
were willing to listen through the podcast, even though you didn't like the topic, for the person.
For like 20 minutes. I was doing other things as well. Okay. So, it was just like, I didn't instantly turn it off.
Okay.
Because it was
politics,
it was
about that.
Which anyone else it would have. It was a bit of just like showing Pete some support because he popped up on my YouTube.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that, I think, the meta thing is almost like flip-flopping on something big that I believe now. And then in the future, and then people will probably point back to this and be like, oh, yeah.
Look at you talking about politics all the time now.
Yeah, and it's like, James Cridlin and I mentioned this when we're chatting. It should be okay to flip-flop. It should be okay to have nuanced views and have them change. Oh. But when you're sort of as vocal about how shit politics is and how it's a waste of time...
It's then hard to flip-flop when you're so vehemently against something. Like you're like, no, I will never be in this. I hate your rights or lefts or whatever you may be inside. And they'll be like, oh, actually, no. Now I support you. So,
other than that, just the, general potential for Cold War, potential for, a mega volcano
what's
to come
the concern
up
there, though?
Oh, just... The concern would be that I would live and then I wouldn't want to kill, I don't want to commit suicide. But I also don't particularly want to live in a world that's the equivalent of the Middle Ages.
Dude, I feel like that would be exciting.
No,
I genuinely feel like that. That's my first thought that comes straight to mind. When I think through the reality of it, and you're like, oh, you have to go and hunt for your food every single day or something like that. Okay, all right, maybe not as a pleasing idea as the
how would you hunt that
we live today.
How do you know how to hunt?
That's what I mean. When you think through the reality of it, you're like, dang. What are you going to do? Go find a kangaroo? How are you going to do that? How are you going to trap it? The reality of it. But first, I'm like, oh, that seems cool.
Where are you going to get water from? What about you? What are you concerned about?
I think my concern centers more around the speed of time and how time passes, but more in line with how much we waste. Probably I myself waste time, other people waste time on something that's so trivial and so inconsequential to life. Like, why is everybody wasting my time, including, like, say, me? And this comes back
Politics.
to... Well, it could be, like, I could see the need for politics in certain ways, but I couldn't see it for, like, okay, doing it all the time, doing it for a whole year. It's like, what are you truly achieving here that you probably are best achieving in some other ways? But no, one thing I find myself, like, what I was concerned about is I, again, flip-flop between the infinity pool, the infinity stream of content. And there was actually I think it might have been on Thursday, I believe it was. Thursday, where I just noticed myself at the end of the day go, wow, I fooled myself today into thinking I was busy, and I wasted so much time on TikTok, Instagram, social platforms, just refreshing. And it was doing things that maybe at the forefront of my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying doing this. When I really looked back, I went, wow, that day went really quick, and it went really quick because I just wasted a lot of it. And things that, like, in the next day, you're not going to care about. And I go, and, we're thinking now, man, it's already September 2020. Like, 2022 is pretty much just around the corner.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
The year's gone by super quick.
As
and
they do.
at the concerning for me is like, well, I'm doing this, like, daily, and it'll just very quickly go by where, September will end, October will end, November will end, and I'll go, dang, I'm actually just wasting a lot of time doing this, and then really being concerned that, shit, what do I do during a lot of the time? Like, why was I doing all this? And then be really frustrated about it. But at the same time, I think I'm concerned that almost globally, we're moving towards this trend where social media, instant gratification of media or content is where we're going, which means that, well, there's a lot of people producing, but there's a lot of people obviously consuming that product as well. And I'm going to say there's probably like 0.1% of content that's out there that's like really meaningful, really well thought out, has a lot of information. Like, I'm going to call out, like, say, for Meanderings, this is just us meandering. And I think it's really good for people who want to just tune in and listen and be entertained if they find us entertaining. But would you listen to, like, Meanderings 10 times over in one day and feel like, oh, yeah, that was a productive thing to do, that was a good thing to do? Yeah. Maybe not. Like, I'm concerned that there's almost content for content's sake and the consumption of it. It's like, I think a lot of people are going to find that, we waste a lot of time in this space.
See, I think the thing, though, is, what was that being filled up with in the past? And I would argue, I think I could argue quite successfully that a lot of it was filled with the day-to-day monotonous grind of hunting a kangaroo, of walking 26 Ks to the nearest waterhole or some bullshit like that. Let's just say this continues as it appears to be going, and more jobs get replaced by automation, more and more, free time is created. What are we going to do with that free time? Honestly, Instagram's pretty good. Yeah. If you got a lot of free time, that it's sort of ways of entertaining yourself. You could say distracting yourself, and it's meaningless. Let's find out, man. Let's find out what the value for value. We'll find out if people, if this is not worthwhile at all. We're going to find out pretty quick.
That's true.
Maybe not pretty quick, but I think
we'll find more directly.
Yeah,
we'll find more
exactly.
directly.
That's I alternate. I feel you though. Like, I alternate between seeing a lot of random bullshit and being like, oh god, that's useless, and then
you also do it yourself. And then it's like, and you find reason for it to be true. You go like, oh well, I'm working hard.
For them, it's useless.
But me, I'm doing market research. I'm flicking through TikTok, market research.
I'm getting things out of my head. I'm crystallizing them, putting them in a format. You'll
just bullshit yourself. You'll bullshit yourself to actually do it, and then call out everyone else. I think it's just concerning. It's yes, I agree with what you're saying. I think that previous to it, you would have just been wasting time doing something else. Perhaps you could have been reading, but instead you were kicking the football against the wall for 2 hours. But I would say that might have more benefits to the body than just sitting there, like, sort of scrolling through Instagram. Yeah. Almost to the point, like, as you say, what if you get to a stage where AI is doing absolutely everything? You don't have to do nothing. Well, you could flick through Instagram, or you could get, like, your brain electrocuted for, like, pleasure, and then just do that for the rest of your life until you die. Could also do that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a stretch, but all right, hit me with a couple more Boostagrams.
Boostagrams?
I want to hit a few more Boostagrams.
Okay, so I've ordered these by Satoshi Cent.
Okay.
So I'll go here. This one is from Oscar Merry. Thank you, Oscar. Brilliant episode, Kyrin! Exclamation mark. Dave is such a legend! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark.
Oh,
777 Satoshis. So, like, the thing is, you know, why would he have sent? We can discuss that. I believe in the sort of podcasting 2.0, 7 is a lucky number.
Why?
So, yeah, I don't know. It's like why do
why
Chinese...
is 7 normally a lucky number?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there
7
you go.
normally like
There
the normal lucky number of people. Also, 777 in the slots.
Yeah.
Sam's like, oh, that's the big win.
Yeah, there you go. So that was sent using Fountain. Thank you, Oscar. Oscar from Fountain FM. He's a very cool guy. He's got some more messages in here as well. This one, Petar, with a Petar. He's got a fucking fantastic boostagram coming up as well. It's a little bit further down. Wonderful interview. Thank you. 2500 sent using Podfriend. Thank you, Petar.
Thank you.
Is that like a
Dude,
Russian name?
that wasn't even ordered by Satoshi's.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
you said 777.
No, sorry. That was 7777.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was like, what? Okay, yeah, cool.
Petar is with an A. That's like a Yugoslavic, or like a Slavic type name.
No fucking idea.
I have a feeling because how there's John originally came from like the Middle East, and then it's like now Juan for you, and it's one of those names that is in every country but is slightly different.
You think it was Peter,
so
but
like
Peter for like some block country in Europe?
I have a feeling. So
maybe
Peter, you're now officially Slavic.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. I'm going to do a couple more because honestly, there's a shit ton here. Oscar, again, what kind of scam is this? 2222 sent using Fountain. So that was me in reference to. We both, funnily enough, had the same initial reaction to podcasting 2.0.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yours was. What kind of podcasting 2.0? What kind of bullshit is this?
Exactly, yeah.
Mine, when I first heard it from James Cridlin, I was like, man, this is the biggest fucking scam thing ever. Sending cryptocurrency using... Like, I'm going to get cryptocurrency just by uploading my podcasts? How does that work?
It's the same thing with NFTs or a couple other things. Just like, you're like, what? What the hell is this?
Dave, so this is... I'm pretty sure there's Dave Jones, who I had on. Juan, why are you so buff? Is it so you can fight off all the horrible animals in Australia that want to kill you?
I did see that one, actually. Yeah. Yep. It's not Dave.
It's a question.
It's not. Definitely not.
You say that, and yet we're standing behind a bush right behind us. There's 1 broken branch, 2 broken branches, 3 broken branches, all by you. All because you've been
That's true.
attacked by animals.
I get this feeling that most of the world would see Australians in the broad sense as like, oh, these people are tough. These people can take on animals. Look, they're living The reality of it is, everyone who's living in the main cities, dude, they are pussies. Like, we are all pussies. Like, if we went out to the outback, we'll all die. I know people who've lived in the outback. Dudes, the stories of, like, what they actually do, you go, like, okay, all right, yeah, that's not me. That is not what would happen. So, no, Dave, I'm pretty sure the animals would get me.
Yeah. How do you go with those spiders and small rodents and things like that?
In the sense of...
Like, do they scare you? Do you...
No. Yeah. No, I mean, if you know what I like...
you don't want to crawling on your face.
And, yeah, like, if you're crawling on your face or you find them in the shoe, like, you're like, oh, damn. Yeah. But, nah. I think when I was 13 or 14 or 15, something like that.
You got raped by a spider?
No, almost. But we used to go out with a mate of mine and we'd take out bows that we would set on fire to kill toads and spiders and rats and stuff like that because he had a massive property. So we just go out and do stuff like that and we're just like, yep, that's cool. This is fun.
I was a pretty terrible kid as well. I used to get lots of spiders and grasshoppers in my backyard.
And fry them with a magnifying glass?
And no, we did that to ants. With the grasshoppers, we'd catch them, throw them in the spider web, and then watch as the spider, sneakily came up onto its prey, stung it.
Do you think you did that? Do you think you did that because you were like learning, or you got enjoyment from what was going on?
It was more the learning part. I don't think I
feel like that would be cool. I would say I'd do that for like, I want to see how this actually goes down.
Yeah. And then you want to test it. How big of a grasshopper can I put in this net?
Sure.
And then it's like you see the struggle. I would say it's watching MMA, but
with animals.
With animals.
But in front of
Nature as Metal is one of the biggest Instagrams out there.
Yeah. There's some crazy stuff on there.
There's a reason why. It's because we love just seeing carnage and shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep doing them all, man. We're on a roll. Dave again. Now. So I think this is Dave Jones because he says, thanks for having that amazing guest, Dave Jones, on the show, and then a wink. So I'm pretty sure it's him.
Yep.
2,112 sats using Fountain.
Cool.
The other one as well was 2,112 using Fountain. Nick, awesome episode, 1,000 sats sent using Fountain.
Nice.
I believe that's Nick, also from Fountain FM. So very cool. Adam, the curry dog.
Oh yes, yep.
Why now all these features? Question mark. And that's something I was asking to Dave. That's a great question. Thank you, Adam. 990 using Podfriend. Adam again, trying again to give everyone 1K sats. 990 using Podfriend. I think he was trying to figure out if the podcast index was getting
Taking
their
away
cut.
something like, yep.
Yeah, because, and I don't believe they were. So it's like, they're the ones who create this. How you know it's not a scam. They created this thing,
And
so
it's not even taken away.
they should be the ones who like, you know, scamming off from the top, taking more of their cut, and then he's only just realizing now, like, oh
It's
shit,
not
we haven't been getting as much as we thought we would be.
Good.
This one here from Kyle Haber. I've talked about him before. Host of the Intergalactic Boombox podcast. So this is our friend who does all the anime voices, such as Fat Gum on My Hero Academia. In Dragon Ball Z, he was one of the characters. Not sure which one. Says, yo, Kyrin, streaming sats your way. Great show with Dave Jones. Rock on. Thank you, my friend.
Very good.
979 sent using Customatic. Adam again, friend on the other end! Exclamation mark. 550 sats.
Nice.
Using Podfriend. And this is my favorite by
you
far. Petar with an A.
Petar again.
I'm just here for the elephant porn.
Good.
So you'll have to go back to episode 227 to see... No, sorry, 228.
Yep.
To see that. I put some elephant porn in now.
Good. In the actual, like, an image or the video?
It's both.
Nice. Good.
I was wondering, actually, like, you know, how risque can you go with putting images on YouTube? So I said,
you
know...
go pretty risque. As animals, from an animal perspective.
Yeah, but what I was thinking, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll put an... I said I was going to put an elephant on the screen. Right now I'll put a gorilla.
Yep.
And I was thinking, you know, oh, I should make it sexy. That would be kind of funny. So I typed in sexy elephant, and it came up with elephants fornicating with people riding on their back, which is pretty funny. But I was sort of thinking, like, should I go, you know, Rule 34 elephant and get, you know, an elephant in maybe like some...
Like a bikini
a
or
gimp
something like
suit
that.
or something like
Yeah.
that, or showing a bit of cleavage, showing a bit, you know. What would YouTube allow me to put on there?
Gotcha.
Is hentai going to get
An
us kicked
allowable
off?
thing.
Yeah, I'll test the waters with the gorilla
There you
image.
go.
I'll find if I can't find a sexy gorilla, I'm going to make one. I'm calling it right now.
It'll just be Kyrin not shaved. It'll just be a naked picture of Kyrin.
No, you
not
were the
shaved.
gorilla, man. I'm like the gibbon. So
Yeah, okay.
we'll have to get a sexy photo of you with a bra on,
That'd
just
be
wearing some briefs, some brief. What we can do is you can burn another pair of your underwear in the oven, and you'll get like a couple of random holes in very suggestive spots.
Ooh.
And then we'll put that on, and then you can
It'll be fantastic.
gorilla it up.
Good.
So the best part of this was, well, first of all, thank you everyone who sent us. This was like just a Boostagram like week.
Yep.
It was a crazy amount, and it really does like fill me with joy. It's awesome waking up to this. More the messages, so and you know there was tons of people streaming as well, and those sort of, you know, hidden messages, that's value coming in. So all the people who streamed us, thank you so much.
True.
Personally, I love the Boostagrams, and honestly, the big ones are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say no to
the elephant porn was good.
To that value, but the elephant porn one
Petar.
is, just sending messages is so much fun. I don't care about the amount. It's just, but if you want your message read first, send a bigger amount.
That's true. That's very true.
So that's our
the
Boostagram
Very good.
corner. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Boostagrams. That's
Wonderful.
That's
good.
That's a
good
good
amount.
chunk, man.
That's
That's
a good
about
amount.
how many they're getting on the actual 2.0 show.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Then
maybe
again,
even more.
half of them was Half of them was Dave. Half
Half
of them was them sending it to us and we read it in the interview.
Yeah.
So I'd be more impressed if it was
You know.
a couple of weeks in a random show.
Yes,
but
agreed.
It does showcase the power of Valley for Valley.
100%. 100%.
That's the thing.
Everyone, thank you so much for that.
That's right. That's right.
I do actually want to quickly touch on, I said Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
I'll get onto that. It's a brutal bloody thing, man. Like I've yet to read the Roald Dahl book, but if you can recall the original movie, so this is, I think, Gene Wilder was the was what's his name, Willy Wonka. There's a scene in particular when they are on the boat and going through the tunnel, and I've yet to confirm this, but Brendan from the Calisthenic Bars was telling me if you actually stop it in certain things, if you can recall, it's sort of like a hallucinogenic, super dark, things are coming by, and
there's a lot of gifs about it
he's
online.
like screaming, and he's like super intense. Brendan was saying if you pause it in certain places, you'll see things of maggots upon the screen.
I think, I have heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck, man? Like,
No, it's weird.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you think, oh, it's so funny, it's magical, it's about chocolate, kids and chocolate, it's all this. It's about kids getting brutally murdered.
I don't know if it's if reality they did put those maggots. I feel like that's a little
like
one
a
of those
bonus
like
piece of
that's one of those like,
editors.
oh yeah, it should be, but it's not really. I know that it does flick in and out with a lot of colors, and they do a lot of gifs around it. And look, the Gene Wilder, like in Willy Wonka, he's like going crazy and crazy faces. So it's like, okay, this is like pretty extreme.
I remember being disturbed by this as a kid. You think it back now, I go, yeah, you know what? That was a rather disturbing movie. It was very strange. Continued on with the Johnny Depp as well. He was a bizarre character. It's not magical.
Yeah, you haven't read the book, but in the book, he's supposed to be a really weird character to the point that the grandparents are scared of him, being like, oh, that's like really weird. They like don't want to talk to him. Nobody wants to actually interact with him. So he's known as being this real weird character.
Yeah,
but kind of plays out in that way.
And why this came up was I went to see a musical version of this here at QPAC, just 200, 300 meters that way. And that was the funny joke that kept coming up. He's brutally murdering these kids. Essentially, like, murdering's a hard word. He's brutally not interfering when they're going to harm themselves significantly, and they're a dumb kid and can't really know better.
And that's the funny bit. Yeah.
And that's the funny bit. So on the stage, for example, they threw out a bunch of what was meant to be Violet's guts after she ate the blueberry and she swelled up. And it's just, I was just imagining kids in the audience, they were laughing at it, but that was meant to be the actor that they just saw going off the stage. It's kind of weird, man. Kind of out there. So, but Roald Dahl's books are like that. I don't know if you've read many of his others, but Matilda is disturbing as well.
I didn't read it, but I've obviously watched the Matilda movie a couple of times. That was a pretty disturbing one as well. I remember watching it the first time and I was like, man, this is like some feels dark here.
Yeah, it's not. It's sort of like round the twist maybe, where it's that weirdness aspect that's meant to draw you in. It's not the childlike wonder of it. Another book of his is My Uncle Oswald, and this book is all I hope it's not marketed as a children's book, because it's all about this guy who finds a beetle. I think it's called like the black beetle, the beetlebug beetle or something, and when you put it into a powder, it's the strongest aphrodisiac known to man. So it's essentially this guy, his Uncle Oswald, I believe, gives him this powder, and then he gets his like hot ass ex-girlfriend, and they go around creating a sperm bank from all the like rich and famous people in the world. They feed them this drug. She has sex with them, collects their sperm just as they're about to ejaculate, and then they start a sperm bank, and that's the whole book.
Gang.
Yeah.
Sounds like a teen 14 to 15 year olds sort of rank.
Yeah. I'd love to see like the marketing strategy of this.
I'd love to see the movie of that.
You probably can, man. You just go on a Pornhub.
I'm sure there would be some random movie.
Almost for certain on Pornhub there is a version
some
of
like reenactment of this thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Dang. All right, folks. We're going to leave you with the taking sperm of celebrities. That's what we're going to leave you with.
What we're here about.
Meanderings, folks.
Elephant porn.
Peter, if you enjoyed the elephant porn, I'm sure you're going to be enjoying the
gorilla.
And whatever picture Kyrin's going to put here for sperm bank and celebrities. So I hope you enjoyed. Me Immortal Lights out there to the Meandering show here at the Me Immortals. What can you do, of course, to help us out? Sharing this with somebody, talking about it with somebody, giving us a review, leaving a subscription, or
sending me gorilla porn.
That's right, telling Kyrin
gorilla
helps. Porn.
Yeah.
NFT
every little bit helps.
Yeah, send him an NFT gorilla porn. You can get pornography through NFTs. I actually recently someone was talking about it. I was like, that'd be funny just dropping it in random people's wallets. But so look, do whatever you can do out there. If you're value for value enabled, I'm going to call it that. If you're value for value enabled, make sure that you leave a little comment maybe a tiny little Boostagram, because
Yeah.
you will get read out. That's the other thing as well.
Very much appreciated.
And I'm sure we'll be talking much more about it and the future of that with us as well for the
100%.
Immortal 2.0. All right, folks, that's it. The Immortalites, one out.
Kyrin out.